Welcome back to the Stretch the Floor podcast. I'm Matt, and I'm here with Venush, and we are officially 2 days in to the new 2021 NBA season, and we're going to get into reactions from a really interesting first night and a really exciting so far second night. It's only about half over. The late games haven't even started yet. But first, since we last talked, there's actually been a lot of news. The most notable contract news being Rudy Gobert getting signed to extended by the Jazz for a 4-year, $205 million contract extension. Not surprising that they extended him, but is 205 for Gobert an overpay?
They just had to do it though. Like teams are gonna pay Rudy Gobert like 40 mil a year. Like if you can find trade partners for him, like he can be moved. It's not like a John Wall or Westbrook contract where like they can only be being flipped for each other. Like
Mm-hmm.
Rudy Gobert is worth that money, but once you pay Rudy Gobert that money, you're not winning a championship because it's just gonna be impossible under the cap to have a Max Donovan Mitchell beyond Max Rudy Gobert and then have enough of a roster to beat championship level teams. So yeah, they just capped themselves as a good good playoff team, could make to the Western Conference Finals, but I just can't see them ever winning a championship.
Yeah, and especially what we've seen from Gobert in the playoffs recently, he just gets played off the floor sometimes. So you might be right that this puts a ceiling on their team, but I don't think this makes him an untradeable asset, like you said. Like I think there are still teams, maybe a team like the Nets, that
Yeah,
would be willing to move from actually pretty decent pieces to acquire Gobert. That might be something that happens in the future. Just sign him so you don't lose the asset for nothing. Maybe
yeah.
he's not on this team in 1 or 2 years. Just quickly round up the rest of the contracts that happened. The Magic extended Jonathan Isaac on his torn ACL, who's not playing this year, for 4 years, 80 million, and Markel Fultz at 3 for 50. How do you feel about those?
Yeah, I hate the Isaac contract.
Yeah.
Like, I guess the people are like kind of losing their cap space because of all these extensions. So I would honestly have just let Isaac go into free agency, see what offers he gets, and just match it. Fultz, I think, is a good signing, but I would have just matched whatever Isaac contract in the free agency period.
Yeah, because he's on a torn
Not playing.
ACL, so you're
Yeah,
only getting 3 of those years, and or I guess that would be
you're still
that it
getting four
doesn't
of
that
those
doesn't
years.
count this year. You're getting 4 of those years,
Yeah,
but he got 2 million more per year than OG and Anunoby, and I think OG and Anunoby is a better player than Jonathan Isaac, or at least they're comparable.
well, they're comparable, and OG Anunoby is way healthier than Jonathan Isaac, so that's why he would be considered better. But John
Yeah.
Isaac, in his day, is an All-NBA defender. It's just he only plays for 50 games every season, and that's if he plays the
Hmm.
season because he's not playing next season.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be a
It's
tough
risky.
contract.
Like you said, I would have just waited, matched whatever offer there was. They've kind of roped themselves into a lot of commitment between those two players now, and this is going to be a year where they evaluate. It's going to give them the chance to play Aaron Gordon at the 4, evaluate, see what they have there,
Yeah,
and Isaac could be the full time 4 there come next year. And yeah, but we'll see. And okay, so just a couple more. We already mentioned OG. Luke Kennard got extended for 64 million at 4 years by the Clippers. Hasn't even didn't even play a game for them yet when
yeah.
he got that extension. Didn't look amazing in his first game with the Clippers. Looked pretty good. Was apparently playing kind of banged up. But what are your thoughts on that contract?
It had to be done in my opinion because he's an asset that I feel will get traded come trade deadline.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and at the end of the day, if you're a rebuilding team, you don't want to sign someone that's on a 1 year deal because people don't like playing on losing teams. So I think this opens up a lot for the Clippers front office because now you're gonna have the money of Patrick Beverly plus the money of a fully extended Luke Kennard. And then if you throw a couple seconds in there, you might be able to get someone decent.
Hmm.
So yeah, I think this was a smart move by the Clippers front office. I just don't expect him to be a Clipper for this even
That's
this whole
fair.
season.
That's the exact contract that Marcus Morris signed, but Kennard is a way more tradable asset than Marcus Morris, in my opinion.
Yeah, he's young. He's could shoot. He's basically Joe Harris.
pretty much Joe Harris.
And Joe Harris got a bigger contract, so I think it's a good deal.
Okay, that's fair. And last one, Derek White, $73 million over 4 years. I don't hate it. I think that is a little bit of a tough price tag for Derek White, but it is something that the Spurs needed to do. Don't know how I feel about that price tag though.
This is basically the same price tag as Fred VanVleet, OG Anunoby, so it's not a bargain, and you're kind of paying him based on his potential. Like he has to play good to reach those levels of like Fred VanVleet, which is how you paid him. So it's gonna be interesting because if he keeps getting banged up and he keeps getting injured, you kind of just have another Patty Mills, which the Spurs already have. Someone that's making a decent amount of money but can't really play because they're so banged up and lost their speed.
Yeah, we will see for sure. Okay, so that does it for contract news.
Well, OG.
But well, yeah, OG extended for 18 million a year, so that I believe that is 72 over 4. I personally like it. I think it is a bit of an overpay right now because OG is an 11-point scorer and isn't the most consistent 3-point shooter in the world. But I think a lot of people have high expectations for him this year, and if he meets those expectations, he would have been getting at least 20 mil in restricted free agency next year. So that's why I like this deal, even though it is pretty risky.
Yeah, the whole NBA is expecting him to take a leap, not just Raptors fans.
Yeah.
And even OG's agent is also expecting him to take a leap because he's one of the only players that got a player option. So he's probably just going to be a 3-year, 54 million kind of deal. And then OG's going to go into free agency in his prime at 26, get a 4-year deal, and then get another 4-year deal at 30.
Yeah.
So yeah, OG himself, the rest of the NBA, the Raptors front office, Raptors fans, everyone's expecting him to improve. So he's just got to do it now.
Yeah. Some people are expecting him to average like 16 to 17 to 18 a game this year. I'm not expecting that, but I am expecting like maybe 14 a game, 14 to 15 a game with better 3-point shooting. And if he does do that with his defense, then he's worth 18 mil a year for sure.
Yeah.
All right, so moving on from contracts, what's actually been the real NBA news other than games is this whole James Harden saga. So apparently he was just fined $50K today because he was spotted at an adult club, a strip club, I assume in Houston, which is breaking the league's COVID protocols. The game was postponed today between OKC and the Rockets. And in the trade news, apparently the Sixers are not moving on a trade right now. The Heat are apparently out. And that, to me, if he's going to get traded, that leaves maybe a team like Toronto. I don't see the Nets trading Kyrie for him. So unless the Rockets are willing to accept Karis LeVert, Spencer Dinwiddie, Jared Allen type thing for Harden, I don't see him getting moved unless it's to just a completely out of the blue team. And I can't really think of one right now.
Yeah, the rumors are they're going to wait till January to get him. So I'm assuming one of these teams are going to be underperforming, whether that be Denver, whether that be the Sixers, and one of their young stars become available, and that's when they jump on it. And a lot of people are hating on Harden. This postponed game wasn't his fault. A bunch of players got haircuts together. And
sorry, I shouldn't have said it that way. Yeah, this was not postponed because of James Harden. It was postponed because John Wall, I believe, and a couple other players went to get a haircut. I should have said that way.
Okay. Yeah, it froze. It froze at John Wall, I believe.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, I'll go from where I was saying. But yeah, I shouldn't have said it that way. The game was postponed because John Wall, I believe, and a couple of other players went to get haircuts, which breached the league's and the team's COVID protocol. So that's why it was postponed. It wasn't James Harden's fault. But the game has been postponed.
Yeah, and he got fined $50K, and I think he'll play. Like he's not going to sit out. He's kind of respectful. I know there's that rumor where he threw the ball at one of his teammates, but I don't know. I can't see James Harden really being that toxic type of guy.
No. I don't that whole story with the ball being thrown, it just seems really convenient coming out at the same time as all this news with him. Like, if any other player did that, if Steph Curry did that, people would just say like, oh, he's just being the team leader, just being tough on a rookie, whatever. I
Yeah,
don't think that's that big of a deal at all. All right, so I think we got to get into some of the games and some of the performances that have happened up till now, and we have to start with the Brooklyn Nets. Man, I can't believe I'm going to say this, but I think Kevin Durant is. I don't know if he's 100% back, but he's a top 10 player in the league, if not better, right now. It was not. There was still rust. I mean, he hasn't played an NBA game in 18 months, so obviously he was a little rusty. But man, he still looked like the same old KD. He looks. No one could touch his shot. He was driving to the rim, getting to the free throw line a couple times. It was so nice to see. I'm so happy.
yeah, and the one thing that referring to James Harden, like they have so much depth, which I hope they don't lose because Kevin Durant is able to play 24 minutes.
Yeah.
Kyrie Irving is able to play 24 minutes. Like they're able to preserve themselves and be ready for that playoff push. And they're so good. Like the players are. This team was a 7 seed without those 2 players.
Yeah.
If you take the 2 best players off the team, any championship level team, they're going to be so bad. Like the Lakers probably don't make the playoffs. Not probably.
No.
Like the Clippers don't make the playoffs. The Bucks don't make the playoffs. And this team was a 7 seed, so they're by far the deepest playoff contender, our championship contender. And that's going to help them stay healthy. And hopefully Kevin Durant keeps improving because he's already great. But we know this isn't 100% Kevin Durant. So 15, 16 games from now, hopefully he keeps improving and he could be one of the guys. He could be the next Dominique Wilkins to beat this injury.
Dominique Wilkins and Kevin Durant. I mean, I don't know if KD's going to average 30 this year, but just the eyeball test, just looking at him, he looked pretty close to the Kevin Durant we're used to seeing, and that was unbelievable. I don't want to react too much to one game, but I think the Nets could be the best offensive team in the league. If we get a KD performance like that, if KD performs like, or Kyrie performs like that, Karis LeVert off the bench. I don't know how we didn't talk about Karis LeVert for a 6-man. He feels like the favorite right now for 6-man.
Was starting at the 3 and Kevin Durant was going to start at the 4 and Joe Harris was going to be off the bench.
Oh, true. Yeah. I did not consider that. But yeah, I think they could be the best offensive team in the league. And if Kevin Durant actually is close to himself, I think this team can be. I think this team could go to the finals and compete with the Lakers. I don't think they'd be able to stop the Lakers defensively because the Warriors were not much of a challenge last night.
Mm-hmm.
But this team can score against anybody.
Yeah, it's just they don't have a single good defender.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to say they have good defenders, but they don't have a single all NBA like defender who could just go out there and slow a start. So it's going to be tough when your defense, in my opinion, is not going to be that good. Unless Jared Allen takes huge leaps or DeAndre Jordan reverts back to his Clipper days and he's actually good defensively. Maybe Kevin Durant actually is 100% and can move really good defensively. Maybe Kyrie Irving tries harder. Maybe Spencer Dinwiddie tries harder, but they all have to improve on the defensive end. And Mike D'Antoni is your assistant coach. Steve Nash is your main coach. Hopefully they actually emphasize defense because I think that's what this team's going to come down to. Like, do they win a championship? Defense. That's the only question.
No, 100%. And I think this is a good segue into the team that they had to defend last night, which is the Golden State Warriors. Man, I have stuff in my fantasy team, and I was hoping for him to go off for like 30 points, maybe 5 or 6 threes. But he had a tough time creating for himself. The defense really focused on him. Let Oubre put up shots, let Wiggins put up shots. They were both bricking them all night. Draymond was not there. This team just looks really, really bad offensively. And Draymond is going to be crucial. If Draymond can come in, be that playmaking 4/5 that he's always been, maybe that raises the offensive ceiling of this team. But how do you feel about this team? One game in, I know it's one game. Steph hasn't played in a while.
Yeah. I think it's just Draymond Green. I think he's so important. He's like the second ball scorer. And what he does is he pushes Eric Pascal to the bench. And then you have some
Yeah.
scoring off the bench, right?
Yeah.
Because they have nothing off the bench right now. Like,
Yeah.
to be honest, like those guys, none of them are going to be a sixth man on any other bench. None of them are going to be a seventh man on any other bench. Some of them will be eighth men. Like Kevin Looney might be an eighth man on someone's bench. But like when you have a bench that's that weak, it's going to be tough. The one thing I did like is Wiseman. He could score
He
19
can score.
points. He hit a three. His rebounding was awful, just 6 boards. And he was honestly like, DeAndre Jordan is a hard matchup to rebound against, so I'll give him a pass for that.
Mm-hmm.
But he definitely needs Draymond Green in there to kind of coach him and shout at him and direct him here and there. But he showed potential. Kelly Oubre and Andrew Wiggins are not going to shoot that bad again. Like they were just missing open threes, open like there was one Kelly Oubre highlight, which was that putback dunk.
Yeah.
Everything else was a low light. Andrew
Mm-hmm.
Wiggins had only low lights. Yeah, it's tough. Like when they play that bad, it's going to be hard to win. But those guys are 15 to 20 point scorers any given night. So it's going to be a big bounce back game, in my opinion. Just Draymond Green's a key factor.
Yeah. Like you said, Oubre and Wiggins aren't going to shoot that bad again. But until they do prove it, I think Steph is going to have a really hard time seeing a lot of double teams. He got 10 assists last night, which is not the norm for him. So maybe this is a higher assist season for him. But yeah, he should still put up MVP numbers. And this is a new team. Steph hasn't played in a while. Draymond wasn't there. Wiseman's a rookie. This team is going to come together. And they were going up against a team that looks like they can go to the finals. So I'm going to give them a pass for last night.
Yeah, and the reason I had Wiggins in MIP conversations, which seems like a super cold take right now, is because you've seen he's been shooting wide open shots in the gym from the corner. And those are the exact shots he got last night, wide open
Mm-hmm.
in the corner,
In an empty gym.
in an empty gym, exactly like he was practicing. So,
Yeah.
man, like he's put in the work. Like he has to be able to hit those shots. And I know he can because we know he can. Like we've seen evidence of it. So it's just a matter of time. And he's going to improve the most on this team.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm in agreement. Okay, so let's move on to the late game from last night. Lakers Clippers. The Clippers came away with the game, but I come out of this game feeling a little better about the Lakers than the Clippers. I think this game really showed that the Clippers need a point guard.
Yeah.
Kawhi, it looked like they had to work for every basket they scored. Paul George ended up going absolutely off, having an
Yeah.
unbelievable game. But if it weren't for that, him just making three after three after three, I think they lose this game on a night when LeBron and AD didn't even play close to their best.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The thing with it is, Kawhi just doesn't seem interested in playmaking.
Yeah.
You see Michael Jordan, you've seen Kobe Bryant. I'm not putting Kawhi Leonard in the same tier as them, but I'm just saying when players like that, when they come down the floor, the only intention they have is to put the ball in the hoop.
Yeah.
And that's why they like playing with kind of traditional point guards or traditional point forwards who get a lot of assists in Scottie Pippen or Derek Fisher because they want someone
Kyle
else
Lowry.
to do, yes, they want someone else to do the playmaking roles, right?
Yeah.
So that's why Kyle Lowry was such a good fit with Kawhi Leonard because he did the playmaking and then Kawhi Leonard could just score and play defense. They don't have that on this team. George was stepping up. He was like playmaking a lot, but when he was playmaking in the first half instead of scoring, it was kind of still being like iffy. So he just like, you know what, let's just take turns.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, that's why I said Luke Kennard is gone. Lou Williams is gone. Patrick Beverley might be gone. Like this team midseason is not going to be this team. Like the Clippers are going to make a lot of changes.
Yeah, I definitely agree. They need a point guard so badly, and even bringing in Serge Ibaka, I thought Ibaka had a pretty good game, but
Yeah.
I feel like without a point guard, he will be limited to more of just like a offensive rebounding and floor spacing big role. And I think there's so much more he can do. Like when he plays with Kyle Lowry, he's so involved in that pick and roll, mid pick and pop and stuff. And I think they can get a lot out of him if they get a real point guard. But until they do, I think he's going to be an upgrade over Harrell, especially like he did an okay job on AD. I don't think he's the answer to AD because AD just was not feeling it last night. But the Clippers need a point guard. That's just at the end of the day.
Yeah,
And
and the player I want to shout out is Ricky Rubio. He just
yeah,
came off one of his worst games of the season. His first, he had like 3 points, 2 assists, and he's going to be stripped to the bench. He's going to not have a big role. He's probably going to have a poor season.
mm.
And then if he has a poor
Buy
season
low.
and a bunch of second-round picks,
Yeah.
Lou Williams and Luke Kennard might be enough. And Ricky Rubio on this team is perfect.
And it's so dangerous because Lou Williams played well last night.
Yeah.
And Lou Williams is going to play well again the whole season, but then it's going to come playoff time and he's going to suck. So
Yeah.
I think move on from Lou Williams, get a real point guard, get Ricky Rubio. They should have signed Rondo. But yeah, definitely agree. Okay, on the Lakers side, LeBron and D were not even close to their best, but Montrezl Harrell and Dennis Schroeder, I was so impressed. The energy, and Schroeder almost put up a triple double. They kept them in that game, and I think there's going to be a lot of nights that look like that when LeBron or AD are either resting or maybe playing lower minutes or not exerting themselves as much. This team can still win games with their third and fourth best players taking charge and leading the team.
Yeah, Bubbles Harrell, we know, was out of shape because he obviously was dealing with a passing of a very close family member, and he was just back in shape. And we could tell, like, he was slimmer, like, just from the eye test. He moved quicker, he had more energy, he played better defense, and he has the best defending big in the league, and Anthony Davis behind him. So he's taking more risk on steals and jumping higher for, like, blocks because he knows, hey, if I get beat, I still got Anthony Davis. And yeah, like, it's just better. I'm not going to really read too much into this because the biggest thing that I cared about, that I was like, oh, this is podcast news, is when LeBron rolled his ankle, but he played right after. So yeah, LeBron's going to play Kawhi Leonard type season, resting back-to-backs, resting a bunch of games, low minutes, and they might not even be the first seed. Like, the Nuggets might steal a seed from them because home court advantage isn't a thing anymore because there's no fans. So yeah, you can see the Lakers being like a 6th seed and win the championship.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. The Nuggets are the only team in the NBA who has home court advantage because of the high altitude. It's hard for teams to go there, playing that thin air. That's actually a really good point.
So they're going to be the only team really pushing for a high seed.
Yeah.
Because they have like a geographical advantage, not really to do with their fans.
Yeah.
Where other teams are just going to be like, hey, let's just get in the playoffs and see what it is.
Exactly. All right. So that was obviously the only 2 games that happened last night. Do you have any takeaways from games that you have seen so far today?
Well, I think Ja Morant just had one of the best highlights where he threw it off the backboard to himself. So yeah, like, that's a part of Ja Morant's highlight career already, and a 44-point night. Like, next to Luka Doncic, like we said, he could maybe be there if he takes that huge leap.
Man, there's a lot of buzz around Ja Morant taking a huge leap this year.
Yeah.
And I got absolutely roasted over the summer for putting him in my top 10 point guards. And I don't know. I think that's going to look pretty good after this season.
Yeah, 44-9-2 in his first game. Still a loss, which was kind of surprising to the Spurs. But he had one of the best highlights of his career. Pretty good. The other game that we were watching a little bit was the T-Wolves versus Pistons. Ricky Rubio started because D'Angelo Russell had some protocol, like, intervention or something. Like, he was like late to testing or something, so he couldn't start. They still won the game, but it was sluggish offensively. But hey, there's a bunch of new pieces there. I think it's just chemistry issues that they'll work out halfway through the season. Blake Griffin got 15-7, played 35 minutes, so he's trying to prove that he's healthy and able to trade. Killian Hayes had a pretty tough game, 7-1-3. But He's a rookie. You expect that. And I think we got to talk about this.
Here we go.
The Giannis first missed
Oh,
free
I
throw.
thought you were going a different direction. But yeah, the Giannis Smith free throw. Let's do that. Let's do that.
Like, we hate on LeBron so much for so much missed winners and stuff, but he's never missed a game-winning free throw. Like, I don't know what to say. Like, he's missed a game-winning free throw. Like, this is the only other person that had opportunities to do this was Jimmy Butler in the playoffs, and he made his. Like, this is super embarrassing, bro. Like, Giannis take like this next 7 hours just shooting free throws. Like, I don't know. I'm just shocked, to be honest.
This is not what Giannis needed. Regular season struggles were not ever associated with Giannis. If he starts having choking moments like that in the regular season, this could look very ugly for him.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just really embarrassing. It's unfortunate. He still put up good numbers, but they lose by 1 to the Celtics, a team that some people are expecting to compete with the Bucks for the 1 seed. To miss the game-winning free throw, definitely not a good look on him. And like you said, the free throws, I mean, a lot of people hate on his inability to make threes, to make mid-range jump shots. But if he just shot 80% from the line, man.
He shot 75 today. Like, he's only missed 2 free throws today.
Yeah.
And one of them was the game-winning free throw.
Yeah.
So it's just sad, unfortunate.
Yeah. Speaking of free throws, I think we need to, well, that wasn't the greatest transition, but I think we need to talk about the Knicks versus the Pacers. Not the most exciting game on the slate tonight, but our man RJ Barrett, hometown boy RJ Barrett, a guy that since way before he was drafted, I was saying is going to be better than Zion and going to be better than Ja, and that did not look good last year. But 26, 8, and 5 tonight, went perfect in the first half, 11 for 15 from the field, and over the preseason, shot 87% from the free throw line, which is absolutely massive because he was one of the worst free throw shooters in the league last year. The way was I frozen there? That was so bad.
Yeah, it's a 26, 8, and 5, and then he froze.
Okay. Perfect. Oh my god.
Just say 26, 8, and 5 again.
Okay. 26, 8, and 5 tonight. Perfect in the first half. And over the preseason, he shot 87% from the free throw line, which, if that's real, man, the work he put in since March, which I guess would have been the last time that the Knicks actually played, is just insane because he was one of the worst free throw shooters in the league last year. If he can actually shoot from the free throw line, he went 3 of 3 from the 3-point line today. He looked aggressive attacking the basket, 8 boards, 5 assists. He's always been a good playmaker. If he can do that, maybe the future looks way brighter for the Knicks than we actually thought.
Canadians' interesting thing was point forward Julius Randle. We've seen him get 9 most assists in the team. He was playing the most out of the team. He's the point guard. He's a point forward, and if he has a couple games like this to the deadline, he's definitely going to be moved.
Yeah.
And he could get them another first-round pick, kind of how Marcus Morris did last season, and that's good because Obi Toppin needs more minutes. He only got 24 minutes this time.
Yeah.
Mitchell Robinson only got 21, but he was in foul trouble, like 3 fouls. So kind of expected. But yeah, Julius Randle's trying to up his trade value and get out of the Knicks.
Yeah, this is a perfect. The Knicks could not be happier with this game. They lose, but Julius Randle goes off. RJ Barrett goes off. Obi Toppin gets some valuable minutes. This is a win-win-win for the Knicks. They're so happy with this. One thing I want to bring up is over the preseason, a guy who's actually getting a lot of buzz is the 25th overall pick, Emmanuel Quickley. A lot of Knicks fans are actually hoping him to be named the starting point guard for opening night, and that obviously didn't happen. But I think he's a guy who's going to get probably a lot of minutes this year. He's kind of a score-first point guard, not going to bring a ton of playmaking to the team, but he actually had a really good preseason. And if he's a piece going forward, even if he's just a bench scorer, I think the Knicks actually could have a couple of pieces going
And
into the
yeah,
draft and going into the future.
he played 12 minutes, but hopefully he's just able to recover quick and keep playing.
Yeah. Okay, so the
Should we go to the game that we watched the most?
Let's go to the game that we both watched. Obviously, it is well known that we're both Raptor fans. The Raptors. After the first half, I was ready to come on the podcast and say this is the same Raptors team. This is going to be a top 4 seed. This is the same team. Kyle Lowry, Aaron Baines is better than Marc Gasol. Siakam looks like himself, and then they just absolutely fell apart in the second half. Ended up losing to the Pelicans, who we both had out of the playoffs in the Western Conference.
Oh, okay, you're back.
My God. Still recording? Okay.
Yeah. You said
what was
ended
it?
up losing to the Pelicans. Last words I heard.
Okay, that was the last thing you heard? Oh my God, you're frozen again.
No, am I? I hear you.
Yeah. Okay. So
Okay,
wait,
you're
what did
red. You have red bars. That's what it says.
Yeah. Okay, let's wrap this up quick. The last thing you heard was ended up losing to the Pelicans?
Yeah.
Or should we just start
Basically
from the
nothing.
top? Should we just
start from the top.
with the Raptors?
Yeah.
Okay.
Raptors.
Okay. So let's move on to the game that we both paid the most attention to. Obviously, it is well known we're both Raptor fans. Oh God, it's frozen. Wait, did you hear all that or no?
Yeah, I heard all that.
Okay. Sorry, I'll start again. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's move on to the game that we both watched in entirety. Is the Raptors versus the New Orleans Pelicans. Obviously, it is well known we're both Raptor fans. And after the first half, I was ready to come on the podcast and say that this is the same old Raptors. This is the same team. Kyle Lowry is the same guy. Aaron Baines is better than Marc Gasol. Pascal Siakam looks the same. Norman Powell's hitting shots, ready for Sixth Man of the Year. And then they just absolutely fell apart in the second half and ended up losing to the Pelicans, a team that we both had out of the playoffs in the Western Conference. What do you take away from this game?
Norman Powell's shot just not falling. He opened shots that just didn't fall. He had a lot of drives to the basket, just didn't go. Matt Thomas shot a good percentage, good off the bench, and Chris Boucher did really good off the bench. But that was it. The Raptors are running an 8-man rotation, so it's all up to their starters. And when you look at their starters, Kyle Lowry played great, as he always does. Put up 10 assists, shot a good percentage, put up almost 20, had put up 18 points. OG Anunoby couldn't hit a 3 to save his life.
No.
Fred VanVleet hit 2 threes, but shot 25%. Couldn't really score to save his life. And Aaron Baines, he made 1 3, but he also shot 25%. Couldn't shoot the 3. Siakam did play good, but at the end of the day, when OG, Freddie, and Aaron Baines aren't really spacing the floor enough, they kind of just close in on Siakam and his play late tactics. So yeah, it's tough. It's all going to depend on these guys shooting, and we become a team that lives by the jump shot, dies by the jump shot, because we don't have that go-to scorer in Kawhi Leonard to go get a basket. So on nights this team shoots well, they're going to be unbeaten. You shoot bad, they're going to lose to the Pelicans.
Yeah, that's what this game came down to. They were hitting shots in the first half, could not hit open shots in the second half. If some of those go in, maybe the Raptors win. But the Pelicans have a lot of length defensively. Lonzo Ball, Eric Bledsoe, Brandon Ingram, Steven Adams was really tough for guys like Fred VanVleet, even for Pascal Siakam, OG Anunoby. Maybe they're going to be a much better defensive team than they were last year with Stan Van Gundy, a well-known defensive coach. Maybe that's not the problem this year. The problem that I saw was Steven Adams constantly being in Zion's way when Zion was trying to do his thing down low. Zion had a really hard time turning the ball over 6 times. The shots he did managed to get off. Pretty much all went in, which is usually the case with him. But he had a hard time getting his shot with the paint so packed. And we both roasted the signing of Steven Adams, or the trading and extending of Steven Adams. I still don't understand why they did it. But I think this team is going to have a harder time offensively than defensively this year. That's my take.
Yeah, and they actually shot the ball really well
They
today.
did. Lonzo Ball was hitting threes. So was Bledsoe.
Lonzo Ball and Bledsoe both shot 4 for 8, 50% from 3.
Yeah.
JJ Redick shot 6 for 11, above 50% from 3. And Brandon Ingram hit 3 of 6, above 50% from 3. It's just when you have two non-3-point shooters, which is Zion and Steven Adams, your offense is going to be a little rough. But they just value their defense because they think Steven Adams makes up for it that much, which he kind of did this today because he was able to really set good picks, really set their guys going, get a little motion offense, get a little pop shots here and there. And man, they're just like a grit and grind Grizzlies.
Yeah.
They just have like a Marc Gasol and Zach Randolph, which is Steven Adams and Zion Williamson, and then a bunch of shooters and defenders around them. They're literally the new age grit and grind Grizzlies. But now Zach Randolph has a 45-inch vertical.
Yeah, man, and this team is scary when they get on run on the fast break. They're scary. I'm not going to overreact too much for the Raptors because some of those Norman Powell and OG shots go in, and Fred VanVleet, the Raptors are winning this game. But this is a game where, like, Serge Ibaka would have come in down 5 and would have made 2 or 3 big plays on either end, and the Raptors would have won this game. So that's an element that they're missing this year. Alex Len didn't get any minutes today. Neither did Malachi Flynn, a guy who a lot of Raptors fans are saying is going to be, like, unbelievable and play 24 minutes a game this year. But, yeah, I'm not going to read too much into this game.
Yeah, it's a one game. If the shots fall, they make them. They're better. If the shots didn't fall, they're struggling. Just move on to the next game. Figure out what happened.
Exactly. Okay, do you have any other takeaways from games tonight?
No, that's just all for games tonight.
Me too. So from now on, now that the season is actually underway, we are going to end every episode with fantasy advice because we both play a ton of fantasy. We were both in I was in multiple drafts, and we spent a lot of time constantly looking at fantasy. So I have one waiver wire addition suggestion this week, and that's Dylan Brooks. He's only owned in 42% of leagues, according to Yahoo. And this guy averaged 16 points last year, 2 threes game. I think he's in a bigger role this year. He's another year older. Ja is an amazing playmaker, and he's going to get more opportunities offensively with Jaren Jackson Jr. missing time. So I think he's a must-add, especially if you're looking for threes and points.
And another must-add, which is going to be like off our waiver wires quickly, is Alex Burks. Yeah. He scored 22 points, 2 threes, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal. He played so many minutes. He's basically the starting 3, even though he comes off the bench. Mm-hmm. And if you need threes, he's the guy to go to, and he's gonna. That's going to be good until Derek White comes back. Is Keldon Johnson. Everyone knows, like, he's going to be able to get his shots, play in the system. I just don't like with Lonnie Walker, Keldon Johnson, Derek White, and DeJounte Murray. But yeah, Keldon Johnson's worth the risk because he's definitely got the steals.
Yeah, for sure. And like Alec Burks, I was not able to pick him up today, but I'm going to try to pick him first thing tomorrow morning because he had a really good game, and the Knicks need scoring. So hopefully he's able to continue going off like that. All right, so that does it for this episode. Thank you for listening. You can check us out on our YouTube channel, STF Clips. You can follow us on Instagram at Stretch the Floor Podcast. And other than that, rate, subscribe, review the podcast. It all helps. And until next time, we will see you guys back next Tuesday when I don't know if James Harden's going to be traded by then, but maybe. And hopefully KD has dropped a 50-point game because KD looks fully back, and I'm so fired up.
Okay, it literally stopped at we'll see you guys back next Tuesday.
Okay, I'm just gonna go back all the way to when I plugged the YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so that does it for this episode. Thank you everyone for listening. You can check us out on our YouTube channel, STF Clips. You can follow us on Instagram at Stress the Floor Podcast. Rate, review, subscribe to the podcast. That all helps. But other than that, we will see you guys next Tuesday when there will be a bunch more NBA games to cover. Christmas games. Maybe KD drops 50 points on Christmas. That's what I'm hoping because he looked fully back.
Hoping.
And I am so fired up. Anyway, thank you for listening, and we will see you guys back next time.